Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here this afternoon. I'm honored to speak with you about something deceptively simple, something many of us do without a second thought, and yet, when done wrongly, can undermine the very health we are striving to preserve. I want you to think for a moment about a beloved staple in healthy eating: the small, oily fish known as sardines. The nutrition world praises them. They are rich in protein, dense in micronutrients, offer heart-healthy fats, support bone health, and can serve as an elegant shortcut to good nutrition. Many of you in the audience lean into sardines, feeling proud of making the smart choice. But today I want to tell you a story, and not just a story of benefits, but of 3 major mistakes people keep making with sardines, and how those mistakes ripple into our cellular health, our neural health, our emotional well-being, our immunity, our longevity. Because good intentions alone are not enough, the devil really is in the details. I want to begin with a patient I'll call Sarah. Sarah was in her early 50s, reasonably active, a teacher by profession, and well aware of the common health pitfalls of her generation: slightly elevated cholesterol, a family history of cardiovascular disease, aware of the need to eat more fish, less red meat, avoid refined carbs. She came to me because despite doing all the recommended things, yoga, walking, avoiding processed food, she still had that nagging midlife fatigue, occasional brain fog, and a bone density scan that was simply okay rather than exceptional. We sat down and went through her diet. She told me quite proudly that she ate canned sardines 3 times a week. I figured they're small fish, so low in mercury, high in omega-3. It's a no-brainer, she said. Yet when I pressed further, I found 3 things she was doing routinely, things many of you may also be doing, and those 3 things were undermining the benefits of those sardines. And if you fix them, you unlock a new level of benefit. Mistake number 1: treating sardines as a generic convenience food without careful attention to quality, processing, and packaging. In Sarah's case, she always bought the cheapest brand of canned sardines that her local supermarket offered. She assumed all sardines are equal. But, as the data shows, not all canned sardines are created equal. In a recent review of common mishandles in canned sardine use, experts pointed out that choosing low-quality products reduces entire swaths of nutrients, dampens flavor, and may even introduce more salt, less optimal oil, and inferior preservation. Tasting Table P1: consider this: sardines rich in omega-3s as EPA and DHA promote neural membrane fluidity, modulate synaptic signaling, support anti-inflammatory pathways in the brain and in the vasculature. But if the brand uses poor oil, low-grade fish, excessive salt, preservatives, or suboptimal processing, you lose much of that. Sarah's choices meant she was getting something better than nothing, but far from optimal. She still accrued the benefit, but she didn't tap the full potential. And we know from neuroscience that subtle differences in nutrient density can translate over months into measurable differences in cognitive clarity, mood resilience, inflammation markers, even gene expression related to aging and longevity. So I asked Sarah to upgrade her sardines, get brands that are harvested sustainably, processed gently, packed in extra virgin olive oil or water, depending on preference, minimal additives. Yes, it costs a little more, but when viewed as an investment in your brain, heart, and skeletal system, the return is enormous. After 6 months, Sarah's bone density trend stabilized. She reported fewer brain fog days, and her energy improved. She was still eating sardines 3 times a week, but now she was eating them right. Mistake number 2: pouring off the oil, rinsing the fish, or otherwise discarding the associated nutrients, as though sardines are just the fillet and nothing more. I cannot count the number of people who open a tin of sardines, immediately rinse them under water to cut down salt, or throw out the oil thinking, that's just extra fat. That is a missed opportunity. In fact, multiple articles on common sardine use mistakes highlight that discarding the oil washes away flavor and nutrients. Tasting table plus E1, in the context of neuroscience and cellular health, that oils, especially if it's olive oil plus fish oil, enhances absorption of the fat-soluble nutrients, supports brain cell membrane integrity, supports mitochondrial membranes, supports antioxidant systems. If you rinse or remove it, you're inadvertently stripping away part of the biological value. In her earlier practice, Sarah would rinse the sardines to reduce sodium, but what she ended up doing was reducing the beneficial fat matrix and reducing the richness that allows those omega-3s to be transported into her cells optimally. I asked her instead keep the oil, use a salad dressing, drizzle lemon, use fresh herbs, include a crunchy vegetable base. Let that fish and oil matrix become part of the meal, not something separate or rinsed off. 6 months later, her inflammatory marker CRP had dropped measurably. Not dramatically, but in a clinically meaningful way. Her mood improved, and the little mid-afternoon slump she used to have disappeared. The difference was not magic, it was mechanics. Getting the right nutrient environment so those fish oils and micronutrients could do their elegant work. Mistake number 3, assuming that sardines alone are enough, without context of overall dietary pattern, and the underlying habits of consistency, pairing, and timing. I know that sounds obvious, but let me explain what I mean. Sardines are a powerful nutrient-dense food, yes. But I have seen countless people eat sardines irregularly, in isolation, or treat them as a healthy snack, separate from a wider context of poor habits, irregular sleep, high sugar, stress, inactivity, frequent alcohol. Even Sarah, though consistent with sardines, was irregular in her meal timing, often skipping breakfast or eating sardines at the very end of a long day when she was fatigued, rather than building a meal earlier in the day that supported her metabolism, her circadian rhythm, and her brain's repair processes. In neuroscience, we know that nutrient timing, sleep, circadian alignment, stress hormones like cortisol, all modulate how well our cells absorb and use nutrients. So eating sardines 3 times a week is a terrific start, but not if you're doing it in a metabolic environment of poor sleep, chronic stress, wandering blood sugar, and sedentary habits. I asked Sarah to build a framework, pick consistent days, e.g., Monday, Wednesday, Saturday for her sardine meal, pair them with a whole food base, leafy greens, lentils, or baked sweet potato, include a fresh lemon herb vinaigrette, get her protein and fat synergy rather than separate. We also worked on her sleep hygiene, reducing night screen time, improving her stress management toolkit. Yes, brain science shows that stress depletes omega-3 incorporation in membranous. Within 9 months, her brain fog days dropped from roughly 344 per week to 1 per month, her mood improved, and her general health felt more resilient. But let's dig deeper, because part of what makes these mistakes so pervasive is that they are invisible until they aren't. The brain, heart, immune system, bones, they don't come with readouts every day saying, you're half functioning. Instead, subtle declines in memory, microinflammation, mild mood shifts, bone microfractures quietly accumulate. Good nutrition like sardines helps counter that, but only if done with precision and awareness. From a neuroscience perspective, consider that the small fish provide DHA and EPA, long-chain omega-3s that are structural components of neuronal membranes, modulate neurotransmitter function, support synaptic plasticity, and reduce neuroinflammation. Studies show regular fish consumption is associated with lower rates of cognitive decline. Yet, if the fish are low quality, or their beneficial oils are discarded, or they are eaten in the wrong metabolic context, you blunt all of those positive effects. Meanwhile, sardines bring calcium, magnesium, zinc, iron, the micronutrients that support bone matrix, hemoglobin production, mitochondrial enzyme systems, antioxidant enzymes, PMC Cla1. So when we mishandle sardines, we dilute a superfood into simply okay. And in a world of cognitive demands, metabolic stress, aging bones, and cardiovascular burden, whole. Okay, doesn't cut it. Let me share another story. A gentleman named Raj, age 62, who had recently undergone a mild heart event and wanted to use diet as a powerful adjunct to his medications. He embraced sardines, switched out red meat nights for sardine nights. But he made the second mistake. He would pour the oil, rinse the fish, then add sardines to a pasta with heavy cream sauce. He thought the pasta made it meal-worthy. But the excess refined carbohydrates, the cream, the late evening eating all blunted the benefits of his sardines. His lipids didn't improve as much as I had hoped. His markers of vascular inflammation remained up. So we decided to cease the pasta, go with grilled sardines on spinach and quinoa, keep the sardine oil as dressing, minimize refined carb load, shift the meal earlier in the evening, and add a 20-minute walk after dinner. The results: in 12 months, his LDL went down, his HDL improved, his coronary artery calcium score stabilized. Not because sardines alone did it, but because sardines were integrated into a strategic plan. My point is this: when you hear, "Stop eating sardines this way," it's not about stopping sardines altogether. Quite the opposite. It's about stopping the misuse of sardines. Because these tiny fish deserve better in your diet. They deserve to be leveraged fully. Let me lay out the 3 mistakes again in short, so the memory sticks. Number 1, assuming all sardines are equal. Quality matters. Number 2, discarding or misprocessing the sardines. Oil, rinsing, preparation so that you lose valuable nutrients. Number 3, treating sardines as a standalone, healthy food without embedding them in a broader context of timing, pairing, habit, metabolic health. Fixing these 3 is like unlocking a hidden door. But let's go further into the why. Let's go into the physiology of what is happening inside your body. When you ingest a high-quality sardine packed with beneficial oils and micronutrients, your small intestine efficiently absorbs those fatty acids. They are transported across the blood-brain barrier into neurons, incorporated into phospholipid membranes, supporting membrane fluidity and neuronal signaling. That has downstream effects: better mood regulation, clearer cognitive flow, less brain fog, better sleep. Simultaneously, the calcium and magnesium from the intact bones support bone remodeling, zinc and iron support immune cell function. The various amino acids support mitochondrial repair. Studies show sardines modulate mild inflammation and promote a healthier immune metabolic profile. PMC/1, on the other hand, when you eat a low-quality sardine, you lower the substrate. When you rinse the oils, you rob the transporter. When you eat in a wrong context, late, heavy carbs, high-stressed, you upregulate cortisol. You impair membrane uptake. You shift your body into repair suppression mode instead of repair activation mode. Now consider the narrative for women in midlife, which many of you are experiencing or will soon. Hormonal shifts, changing bone density, evolving cardiovascular risk, increased vulnerability to cognitive changes as estrogen declines. At this juncture, foods like sardines are more important than ever. But I want to emphasize this is about empowerment, not anxiety. Because you don't have to be perfect, but you do have to be intentional. You don't just swallow a tin of sardines and assume you're done. You think about what brand you choose, how it's packed, how you pair it, when you eat it, what else is happening during that day. At that intersection lies potency. Imagine a woman named Amina in her late 40s living in a busy city, juggling work, family, running the household, skipping her own meals sometimes, under chronic low-level stress. She decides to integrate sardine meal nights and commit to doing it right. She selects a high-quality pack of sardines and olive oil, picks up accompanying greens, lemon, whole grain crackers, makes the meal with friends, eats it earlier in the evening, then takes a short walk around her neighborhood. She notices not only that her energy stabilizes, but that she feels more grounded, more in control. Her joints don't ache as much. She sleeps a little deeper. She feels less distracted. That shift didn't happen overnight, But the decision to do sardines right triggered a ripple effect. Better nutrition led to better energy. Better energy allowed better stress management. Better stress management improved sleep. Better sleep improved nutrient utilization. You see the chain. From a neuroscience and habit formation perspective, habits eat what you feed them. If you feed your habits low-quality convenience food, your brain networks reinforce convenience, low energy, metabolic dysregulation. But if you feed your habits with precision, if your habit of sardine night becomes more than just quick protein and turns into strategic nourishment paired with restful evening walk, fresh lemon, quality brand, then your neural networks shift. That habit becomes a pivot point for wider positive change. It becomes anchor behavior. And if you embed that anchor behavior into the fabric of your life, you don't just get the benefit of one meal. You shift trajectory. Now let's also talk about emotional intelligence. Many diet talks focus on nutrients, biochemistry, but we often leave out the emotional dimension, how food connects to our identity, our culture, our sense of worth, our familial patterns. I've seen women who have grown up in households where fish was rarely eaten, or fish meant cheap, bulk, processed. They want to do better, but carry guilt, impatience, or comparison. When I spoke with Sarah, she admitted that she sometimes felt ashamed of not being perfect with her diet. Then she overcorrected and felt the next mistake, and that wore on her mood. The moment we reframed the sardine meal not as a punishment or discipline, but as a ritual of nourishment, of self-care, of reclamation, everything shifted. She started looking forward to her sardine nights, pairing them with music, conversation, fresh herbs, lemon, making it pleasurable, not mechanical. When we align emotional intention with biochemical precision, we unleash a deeper healing process. Let's touch on longevity, because that often gives people the perspective shift they need. When you're 35, you eat what works today. When you're 55, you eat what protects you ahead. The membranes of your cells, the integrity of your mitochondria, your cardiovascular system, your cognitive networks, all of that is cumulative. So the mistakes you make today may seem small, but they compound. If you treat sardines as just another tin, you miss the compounding benefit. But if you treat sardines as a strategic node in your nutrition, you unlock the possibility of reducing cognitive decline, stabilizing bone health, supporting vascular resilience, enhancing mood, strengthening immunity, magnified over years. And in women especially, when we face menopause, shifting hormones, and need to rely more on nutrient-dense foods, these details matter deeply. I want to be clear, I am not saying sardines 3 times a week and all your health problems vanish. Far from it. I am saying if you choose sardines, and I believe you should, given their nutrient density and comparative low risk of heavy metals, then treat them as a smart target in your diet. Quality matters. Preparation matters. Context matters. Habit formation matters. So if I were to speak directly to you, I'd ask, how are you buying your sardines? What brand? What packing? How much salt? What oil? How are you preparing them? Are you rinsing them? Are you discarding the oil? Are you heating them in a way that ruins them? What are you pairing them with? What time do you eat them? How is your stress, your sleep, your walk after the meal? Are you just doing them? Or are you embedding them in a philosophy of health? Because the 3 mistakes, low quality sourcing, suboptimal processing, and isolated habit, are the silent drains. Let's pull back up and imagine what happens when you fix those 3 mistakes. You buy a quality tin of sardines in olive oil or in water. You value the full fish and the oil matrix. You plan a weekly meal around them. You pair them with fresh vegetables. You eat with awareness and calm. You take a short post-meal walk. You rest well. You manage your stress. Over time, your inflammation decreases, your synaptic signaling improves, your mood stabilizes, your bones are better protected, your cardiovascular system hears the message, we care about you. And your brain hears the message, We're giving you high-value building blocks, and your body whispers thank you. In closing, I invite you to think of sardines not as a canned quick fix, but as a symbol of precision, of habit, of respect for your body, your brain, your future self. To think of the three errors not as moral failings but as opportunities to elevate, to move from good enough to exceptional enough, because your health, your cognitive sharpness, your emotional resilience, your longevity, they are calling you to that level of intention. Thank you for trusting me with your time. Thank you for making the tiny fish matter, and thank you for your commitment to a life of strength, clarity, and vibrant health going forward. And let's take a moment to reflect on the subtle power of small choices. Sardines, after all, are tiny fish, but they are mighty in what they can give your body if you let them. Too often, we underestimate the ripple effect of one meal, one habit, one thoughtful decision. Each tin, each preparation, each mindful bite is a signal to your body, a signal to your neurons, a signal to your heart that you are taking care of the most sophisticated, delicate, and irreplaceable system you will ever own, your body. Think of it like an orchestra. The fish is one instrument, powerful and rich, but it only achieves its full resonance when harmonized with other instruments. Your vegetables, your sleep, your stress management, your movement, your hydration, your emotional well-being. When you play all of these together, you create a symphony of health, a rhythm that supports your longevity, your cognitive clarity, your energy, and your resilience. Consider this: the science is now clear that omega-3 fatty acids do more than protect your heart. They modulate inflammatory pathways, influence gene expression, and even affect the plasticity of the brain. Calcium and vitamin D in sardines strengthen your bones, yes, but they also support neural signaling and muscular function, which are critical as we age. The trace minerals, selenium, magnesium, phosphorus, zinc, act as cofactors for enzymes that regulate antioxidant defenses, energy production, and neurotransmitter synthesis. Every tiny component matters, and yet we often throw away the very elements that make these fish supercharged. It is like discarding the conductor of your orchestra, leaving the instruments to play in disarray. That is the difference between eating sardines casually and eating them strategically. I want to return to Sarah, our first example, because her journey captures a truth that resonates with all of us. After a year of intentional eating, choosing high-quality sardines, embracing the oils, pairing thoughtfully with nutrient-dense meals, and incorporating her habits into a lifestyle of consistency, she reported not just measurable improvements in labs and bone scans, but a profound sense of empowerment. Her energy, mood, and focus transformed. She began to see her body as a partner, not a battlefield. This is the essence of health. It is not about punishment, restriction, or fleeting fads. It is about mastery through small, consistent, intelligent choices. Choices that honor your body's innate wisdom. And here's another angle: emotional connection. Many of us view food purely through utility, as a means to an end. But food is a story, a ritual, a form of self-respect. When Amina, in our earlier example, began to prepare her sardine meals with care, with intention, she noticed that her emotional response to eating shifted. She was no longer just filling her stomach, she was nourishing her mind, her heart, her identity. She created a ritual of health that reinforced positive behavior across her life: better sleep, better stress resilience, more consistent movement, and a heightened awareness of her well-being. Neuroscience tells us that emotion and cognition are inseparable in the brain. The pleasure and meaning you derive from your meals actually amplify the physiological benefits. It's not just science, it's art, harmonizing the tangible and intangible. Now, I ask you to imagine your own table, your own routine. What would it mean to treat every sardine, every nutrient-dense choice, as an opportunity to invest in yourself, to send a clear message to your body: I respect you, I care for you, I am aware of what supports your growth, your clarity, your longevity. Imagine pairing that sardine with vibrant greens, a squeeze of lemon, a drizzle of olive oil that you intentionally do not discard, maybe a handful of nuts for added omega-3 support. Imagine eating it in the early evening after a short walk, when your metabolism is aligned with your circadian rhythm, when your stress levels are down and your neural pathways are receptive. That is not a minor adjustment. That is a paradigm shift in how you honor your body, one small, mighty fish at a time. The mistakes I've shared, low quality sourcing, discarding oils, neglecting context and habit, are not condemnation. They are invitations. Invitations to see that the path to vibrant health is built not on grand gestures, but on subtle, deliberate, informed, and consistent choices. And when those choices accumulate, they compound. They ripple outward, influencing your energy, your mental clarity, your emotional resilience, your capacity to engage fully with life. One corrected habit catalyzes another, and soon you're not just eating better, you're thinking better, feeling better, moving better, living better. And perhaps the most profound insight is this: health is not merely survival, it is thriving. It is the opportunity to experience the fullness of your life with vitality, with focus, with strength, with joy. Every meal is a message, every habit a declaration. When you treat a simple, tiny sardine with respect, when you choose quality, honor the oils, integrate it thoughtfully into your life, you are sending a powerful message to your body: I value you. I am invested in you. I am committed to your growth, your longevity, your excellence. So today, I challenge you. I challenge you to rethink how you approach every single choice on your plate. Not just sardines, but every food, every habit, every moment where you decide how to feed yourself. Because when you master these choices, you are not simply avoiding mistakes, you are creating a life that is strong, vibrant, resilient, and rich with possibility. The power is in your hands. The opportunity is before you. The time to act is now. Make the sardines matter. Make yourself matter. Honor the intelligence, the complexity, the resilience of your own body. Because when you do, you unlock a future of health, clarity, and vitality that is as limitless as the care you invest in yourself today. Thank you. And as I look out at all of you today, I want you to feel the weight and the possibility of that message. Because it's easy to underestimate the compounding power of small, informed choices. One tin of sardines, prepared and consumed with awareness, might seem trivial on a Monday evening. But over weeks, months, years, those choices define the quality of your circulation, the sharpness of your mind, the resilience of your joints, the stability of your bones, the clarity of your focus, the steadiness of your mood. Each tin is a thread in the fabric of your health, each intentional habit a stitch weaving a tapestry of vitality. And when the pattern is repeated consistently, it becomes a resilient, robust, and self-reinforcing system, a life lived at its full potential. Consider too the broader lessons here, not just about sardines, but about our relationship with food, knowledge, and self-care. Too often, people eat by habit, by convenience, or by fleeting trends, thinking they are doing right. Yet, without understanding, without attention to quality, preparation, timing, and context, we miss the extraordinary potential hidden in everyday choices. The smallest missteps may seem inconsequential today, but like tiny drops eroding a stone, over time they shape our health outcomes. And conversely, the tiniest corrections, when made deliberately, have exponential impact. The message is simple: it is not enough to eat healthy. In a general sense, we must eat intelligently, with intention, with awareness, and with reverence for the biology that sustains us. Think about your nervous system, your cardiovascular system, your endocrine system, your immune system, each finely tuned, sophisticated, adaptive, and responsive. They are constantly communicating, integrating signals, optimizing function, and repairing damage. The nutrients you provide, the timing, the combinations, the context, all these variables modulate their performance. Sardines are not magic on their own, but they are a strategic tool in the orchestration of wellness. paired with other high-quality foods, consumed in alignment with your metabolic rhythm, supported by good sleep, movement, stress management, and social connection, they contribute in powerful ways to resilience, cognitive clarity, and energy. I want to remind you also of the emotional dimension. Eating with intention, selecting quality ingredients, preparing them with care, consuming them mindfully, is not just about nutrients. It is a signal to yourself and to your subconscious that you are worthy of health, vitality, and longevity. It is a practice of self-respect, a ritual of empowerment. This emotional reinforcement amplifies physiological benefits. Neuroscience confirms that positive emotions and mindful attention improve digestion, enhance nutrient absorption, reduce stress hormone activity, and modulate inflammatory pathways. In other words, when you honor your meals, you honor your cells, and your cells respond in kind. As we stand at the intersection of science, habit, and intention, I urge you to embrace these lessons with courage and commitment. Look at your pantry, at your refrigerator, at your routines. Ask yourself, are my choices optimal? Am I discarding potential benefits through mindless processing? Am I integrating nutrients strategically with awareness of timing, pairing, and lifestyle context? Are my habits reinforcing resilience or creating blind spots? The answers may require small but deliberate changes. Upgrade the quality of your sardines. Preserve the oils. Integrate them thoughtfully into your meals. Pair them with complementary foods. Align consumption with optimal timing in your day. And watch with patient observation as your energy, clarity, mood, immunity, and strength gradually transform. The cumulative effect is profound, not immediate magic, but steady, measurable, empowering change. And in that change lies hope. Hope for a body that performs with grace and resilience well into later years. Hope for a mind that retains clarity and sharpness. Hope for an emotional life rooted in stability and positivity. Hope for the kind of longevity that allows you to experience the fullness of your life. The small fish teaches us a big lesson. When approached with intelligence, intention, and respect, even the simplest elements of our diet can serve as catalysts for extraordinary transformation. So go forward from this moment not with guilt or fear, but with empowerment and awareness. Let every meal, every sardine, every habit be an act of intentional care. Let your choices reflect your commitment to a life that is not just lived, but lived well, with clarity, vitality, and resilience. And as you do, remember this: health is not a destination. It is a lifelong conversation with your body, your mind, your habits, and your choices. Speak to it wisely, consistently, and with respect. Because when you do, the dividends are profound, and the life you build in the process is a testament to the power of informed, intentional living. Thank you for your attention, your commitment, and your willingness to take the small steps that create extraordinary results. The journey to vibrant health is yours to claim, and it begins in earnest, with awareness, with choice, with intention, today.